Lucky Boys Podcast.
Welcome to Lucky Boys Podcast. I'm Will.
I'm Norm, and we have a very special guest joining us today on this very rainy day, Sam Cheng.
Thank you for having me, guys.
Thank you for coming in.
I know you do a lot of food stuff. You said you've been doing it for how long now?
It's been about 5 years since I've started. You know, how it all started was I was going to all these different restaurants, and, you know, my friends would ask me, what's the best place to eat? Where can I get this? And, you know, I was thinking to myself, I'm doing this anyway, so why don't I start an Instagram page? My friend out in Cali.
Food blogging,
the
right?
food blog, yeah. My friend out in Cali, he was actually the one that encouraged me. So I went out there to Irvine, and he actually sort of helped me create a page. And, you know, we went to a bunch of different restaurants, just took some pictures. And then that's how I got started. Brought it back to New York, and it's been fun. It's been fun, you know.
How has it been now with everything that's going on? I mean, you've been doing this for the past 5 years, and before, I would imagine, I mean, pre-COVID, right?
Mm-hmm.
It was just a free fall. I was like, man, I could just check this place out and that place out. And now with COVID, it's, you know, with the shutdowns and restrictions, you're so limited.
Sure.
What's the restaurants, like, in your opinion, how has that impacted from what you've seen?
It's been devastating, both for restaurants and there's food bloggers that do this for a living as well, you know. So marketing is one of the first things they cut if they're struggling. And, you know, so bloggers have sort of been having a hard time as well. Restaurants, they've had to shift their business toward a delivery model. And for a lot of, you know, smaller restaurants, fine dining, for example, they've never done this before. So it's relatively new to them. So everything's had to change. Outdoor dining had to be set up, and it's been a process. You know, they've lost a lot of businesses. People are afraid to go out and dine now. So it's a very tough time.
Exactly. What type of foods do you go, I guess, in search of?
I prefer to eat at restaurants that are more of a hole-in-the-wall or a mom-and-pop shop.
I love those, by the way.
Yeah.
I love those.
You find the best foods in those restaurants. You know, it's food that I try to look for food that people can, you know, afford, because fine dining, not everyone can afford that, and also cuisines that you would find in their respective countries. You know, they bring that over here. I think a lot of restaurants these days, they're putting a spin to everything, you know, and not everything needs truffle on it. You know, not everything needs to be deconstructed. You know, you can have it very simple, very traditional, and that's the kind of food I prefer. So it's always fun kind of walking into those restaurants too. Sometimes you walk up a few different hallways and you don't know where you are. You just end up in a random place. There's a restaurant I went to, I forget the name of it, but it's a Tibetan restaurant in Queens, I believe Jackson Heights. And I looked it up on Yelp, and I said, oh, this place looks pretty cool. Anthony Bourdain came here, so why don't I check it out? And I walk into the correct address, right? And I look outside, and it is like electronics store. And then like deeper in, like they're selling clothes or something. You know?
So it's an electronics store and then a clothing department store.
Yeah.
You gotta keep walking.
So and there's like a cell phone store there too, like within one area. I'm like, where am I? So I walked back and forth a few times. I thought I had the wrong address, right? I asked the people there. They didn't really speak English. They didn't really know. So I had to YouTube it and look it up on Yelp on how to get inside. Apparently, you walk inside, you make a right into the cell phone store, and then you make a left, and you walk down a little hallway, and then you enter a tiny hidden restaurant.
It's like a speakeasy.
Wow, yeah.
It's crazy,
exactly, yeah.
You know?
Speakeasy restaurant, yeah.
So getting there was an adventure itself, and just for me, it's also about learning where the food comes from. I think every dish has history behind it.
Absolutely.
You know?
That's what I love about New York. It's like you have these like secret areas of the city, and people, all diverse groups of people live here. and then they set up shop. It's that they're serving their community, not necessarily outside of the community sometimes, and people who are read about it, they want to check it out.
Yeah.
And then that's like this. It's amazing that we have that here in New York City.
Yeah, and with the blog, I feel like not everyone knows about these places, so it was a good way for me to show it to people.
So how do you find out about these places?
I look at other food bloggers. I also look on Yelp. That's my main source. I'm a big fan of Mikey Cheng on YouTube.
Simply Dumpling or Strictly
Dumpling? Strictly Dumpling.
Strictly
Okay.
Dumpling, yeah.
Yeah. So I kind of just find them by accident and look up the reviews and just wander in sometimes.
I was watching something on Netflix. I don't know if you saw it. It's Street Foods.
I haven't
That's
watched
the time.
it,
So
but
they have
I've seen
one
it.
that's Asian street food in Asian America. In Asian countries, and then in Latin America, they have street food. And I just saw some of the stories behind it. It was absolutely incredible. Where one specifically that stuck out to me was the one in Brazil, and this lady, she had a stutter issue, and a lot of people made fun of her. She lives right by the sea, and people were people were just like unaccepting of her. And these three brothers tasted her food once, and it was like, this is amazing. So they made a Facebook post about it. People started coming in to try her food.
I think I saw that one.
Right.
Was it the episode where it's like, I don't have any fish, go catch a fish
Yeah,
for me,
yeah.
and then I'll cook it for you.
Right.
Okay,
that was amazing. Yeah.
So interesting.
And so they did that, and so people just started going to her house to eat. And she was like, I'm not a restaurant. What are you guys doing?
Yeah.
And she continued, and the brothers continued to post, and she just kind of went viral. And all of a sudden, people are going to her restaurant, the locals. Then you get the locals, and it expands internationally.
Wow.
People from out the country, from America, from Asia, from all over the place is coming to her house to eat.
Yeah.
And she says that it got so packed that people would sit on the floor to eat, because she
My
didn't
goodness.
think of herself like her. She kept telling people, I'm not a restaurant. I'm just cooking because you guys want me to. And the three brothers said, you know what? This is a restaurant. You need a name. So they named it Restaurante because she has a stutter.
I love that.
Yeah. So I love that they used a negative into a positive, where
Sure.
people used to make fun of her. I love that flip. And it's such an awesome name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a representation of part of her as well.
Of who she is.
Right.
Yeah.
It's her
I just thought it was such a beautiful, so it was like, it's not just food. It's about the person behind the food.
Sure.
And I think that essence comes out in the food when you taste it, when
Sure.
you eat it. And that's what makes it so exciting. That's part of why New York, what makes us so special, is because you have these people from immigrant countries coming to New York and trying the foods out, and you get to taste their essence from where they're from.
Without having to go there.
Yeah, right? You don't need a plane ticket, which ties it back in. Thank you very much, Sam. Now, how was that restaurant, the Tibetan restaurant?
It was good. It was good. I had momos, which are kind of their version of dumplings.
Okay.
Very similar to soup dumplings.
Is it?
Yeah. Very similar.
Where would be, I guess, the difference between the traditional Shanghainese, right, soup dumplings versus
There's
Tibetan?
not as much liquid in there, and it's a little more firm, and they're big on the spice. If you go to a Tibetan restaurant, you have to be careful with the sauces, like the hot sauce. It is spicy. They don't play around with it.
Tibetan food is spicy. Yeah.
I put a little bit on, and my mouth was burning for like an hour. It was bad. I had some kind of
Is it even worse than halal hot sauce?
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's
You put some
lingers.
halal hot sauce. Oh my god, I was burning. My mouth was burning.
It can be pretty bad. Had some kind of noodle dish as well. It was a good experience, but just getting there was wild. So
That's the whole experience of the journey of going and experience the food. One part of the journey is experience the food. The other part is actually traveling there.
Yeah. Learning
Now,
about it as well.
I've been having a hankering for Mexican food.
Uh-huh.
Can you tell me a good spot in New York City where you can get good Mexican food? And don't say Chipotle.
When you say Mexican, you mean tacos?
I mean, I like
What do you mean?
Chipotle,
What do you mean?
but
What do you mean?
just Mexican food.
Mexican,
Just
okay.
authentic. Like in Cali, the Mexican food is ridiculous. It's good. Texas, I had really good Mexican food. In New York, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
It's okay. It falls. I feel like it falls short, and it could be because I haven't found my spot yet. I haven't found a good Mexican restaurant that's at their level over there.
You know, to be honest, I think the best Mexican food is inside homes. You know, it's home cooked meals. I think that local deli or bodega where they serve, you know, tacos or burrito, whatever it is, you know, I think they make the best food. So it can be tough to find sometimes. My experience with Mexican food is obviously I'm a big fan of tacos. So there's a place in Jackson Heights, and I believe they opened a location in Williamsburg as well. I'm forgetting the last part of the name, but the first part is Brianna something. But if you look it up, it's a food truck, and they make Tijuana style dipping tacos. So, you know, you dip it in something called I think it's pronounced casame. I'm not really sure. It's a meat broth, and then the taco itself is marinated. So you just get like a ton of flavor. It's big in LA, and I think they're probably the only ones that do it in New York as well. But I found this place through social media, and I checked it out. Had a really good experience there, and you know, I made a post about it, and all of a sudden, all these food bloggers started going there. When I went back just to pass by, before they open at 5 p.m. at night, I saw a line of at least 75 people.
Wow.
And you started.
I didn't start
You
it,
started
but
it.
you know,
Wait,
I was
during COVID?
during COVID.
Oh my
Holy cow!
It was nuts. They weren't even social distancing.
And that's what we were. That's what we were talking about prior to going live. When you said you focus mainly on street food style, not fine dining.
Yep.
We said it's actually interesting now because fine dining for a lot of people is not even an option.
No.
And you know, people don't want to be indoors dining all the time. They, for the most part now, I guess the food culture here in New York, it's kind of, hey, let me get something and go.
Yeah.
You know, so like just fast pace, and
That's always been the vibe here, but
right.
Yeah,
I
that's
think
true.
we'll see more of an emphasis on that.
Yeah,
No,
even
now it's
restaurants.
pushed further.
Yeah, even restaurants that were doing fine dining, they actually converted their like menus into more of
Absolutely.
a takeout
Yeah.
type of cuisine.
Some restaurants, the fine dining restaurants that never even had delivery or takeout as an option, has adjusted.
They have to adjust to the times. I mean, you look at institutions like Peter Luger's. Like, how do you do takeout for that?
Yeah.
It's they had to
Right.
change everything. You know, I think they did start. I
Steak
believe.
tapas.
Yeah.
I love tapas.
Oh, man. I
No,
love
me
tapas
too.
too.
I'm a
Yeah.
big fan.
Yeah.
So you know, I guess they'll do takeout steaks or.
Yeah. I wonder- how
However
do you
you-
take out steak? You know, because if you have to have the steak hot, right? You can't have it warm or cold.
Yeah.
It's not the same. The texture changes the whole quality of it,
Sure.
right? And then you know the fat will kind of solidify and it gets kind of gross.
You got to eat it when it's cooked. So I'm not really sure how they're going to do. I know they have a
And then you can't heat it up because then it's
Right.
going to go past the meat.
Unless they
medium rare.
undercook it and then give it to you.
It is
and say-
I mean, it's already medium rare, but
Yeah.
if you have to heat it up, it kind of takes away
It's
that.
complicated.
Or
Yeah.
they serve you in a sous vide, like in a pouch, and then you cook it yourself at home or something.
Oh, a lot of restaurants have been doing that.
Oh, really?
Yeah. They've been doing like a whole thing where you prep your own meals. They give you the ingredients,
Yeah.
and you sort of construct it yourself.
But
They
it's
did that
not
with
the
boba
same.
too.
It's
I
not
was
the
like,
same though.
No, it's
you
not.
know.
If
It's
I
a
want to
chef.
make food myself, I'll just go to the supermarket and get the damn ingredients.
Yeah, it's totally
True.
different.
Actually, yesterday I had dim sum yesterday for the first time since this happened.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I had dim sum.
Which
and it was
which restaurant?
delicious. It was somewhere in Fort Lee.
I went to what's the dim sum place? Oh, Jing Fong. Okay.
Oh, Jing Fong. Yeah,
Yes.
we actually shot a movie there. Yeah.
I went there for the first time nearly a year since everything has happened.
How was
right?
it?
It was great, but I was looking at the price. There was three of us. I was looking at the
Uh-huh.
prices, like, wow, it's gotten a lot more expensive now. Yeah,
They added that COVID tax. No?
COVID tax. Wait, so like, what do you mean for like? All right, so for example,
It's like 5 or 6 for
no.
Yeah, and we went ham.
It's because it's usually half that. It's like usually 375.
Right.
Right.
We went crazy ordering for the 3 of us, and I look at the bill. It was like $150 for 3 people.
What?
I was like, I've never spent that much.
And
on
it's just all dim sum that you order dishes and
And it was $150.
Yeah, I mean, we went crazy ordering, but that was the most I've ever spent on dim sum.
Wow.
So prices have definitely gone up.
Did you have to get a ticket to be seated? Because usually Jing Fong or and other establishments in Chinatown, it's a long wait for dim sum, especially on the weekends.
There wasn't a wait there. We arrived, and I think there were a few open tables, and they had an outdoor dining set up.
Wow.
I would say about 12 tables.
Now, for those of you listening, just if you guys aren't from New York and you don't know the vibe, when you go to dim sum, you can expect to wait. You can expect to wait
30 minutes, hour.
You have
hours.
to get in line to get a ticket, just so you can wait.
Yeah, they
Yep.
give you a number. And they call
those
that number.
the line is aggressive. So for Sam to go in there and immediately get seated, and in addition to seeing additional extra tables, it's crazy.
Yeah, definitely abnormal, and you can expect to share a table sometimes.
Oh, really?
Right.
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, not
back
now.
pre-COVID. Pre-COVID.
Not now,
Okay.
Yeah.
If you go with just a few other people, you'll be
Yeah.
dining with strangers pretty much, and that's
Yeah.
part of the experience.
Yeah.
I think dim sum here is it's interesting. It's very different than in part of my family's from Hong Kong,
Okay.
so dim sum here is a lot quicker, I would say. But when I visited last year. My grandparents lived there. Dim sum is a time where you would sit down, you grab the newspaper. It's family time,
Mm-hmm.
and you would spend hours there just kind of reading, sipping tea.
Is that right?
It's much different.
Conversations.
It's much different.
Wait, hold on. Say that again. In Hong Kong, dim sum is family time. You just kick back, newspaper.
Very laid back.
Wow.
You sit down. Grandparents have newspaper. They read a little bit. They chit chat. A couple refills of tea, and you just relax.
Just like an average
So
2-3 hours.
so they just-
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
So they just graze for 2-3 hours
Yeah.
and just hang out.
It's very normal.
Because here it's like get that. It's a hustle.
Mhm.
As soon as those carts come around, you pick and you get
Yeah.
it. You get your table filled with everything,
chaos.
and it's complete chaos, and
Yeah.
and everyone's just going after it.
I can imagine, someone who hasn't had dim sum before come into the restaurant and just have no idea what to do, like how to order or anything, Like
It could be overwhelming.
Yeah.
But that's beautiful. I went to Hong Kong,
Mhm.
and I went to one of those. I went to a hole in the wall dim sum.
Okay.
Excellent. And I went to a Michelin dim sum, Michelin rated. Dim
Okay.
sum. Amazing. It was very good. And the quality, I wish it could be like that here in the States, but for some reason, I don't know what it is. There, it just tastes different there. It just tastes more authentic.
Much better in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's-
Actually, I had the
For me,
the
light
opposite
years
experience.
ahead.
Yeah,
Light
opposite
years
experience.
ahead.
My experience was like they were trying to rush you out. Like people were rude. Like the restaurant was pretty rude, and there's some quality, and it's Michelin rated. Like Tim Ho Wan, it's Michelin rated.
Oh yeah.
But the quality wasn't as good. They're known for certain things, like
The pork buns or something.
pork buns. It's like crusty, like crusted pork buns. But the quality, I think, is better in New York City. Actually, yeah.
Just a sec. Your hair.
My hair,
If you want to fix your
my hair is on fire.
and don't edit
Yo.
this out.
My hair's on fire, bro.
No. Your hair's fine. It's just a
Oh.
little bit slanted to the side.
Oh, it's fine. Okay.
So you don't mind? It looks a
don't
little
care.
weird. All right. I don't know if you want to use your phone as a camera. It just looks. You got the alfalfa thing, but on the side.
Okay, let's see. Okay.
But
Continue.
yeah. So I don't know. Why were they trying to rush you out? That's weird. Why would they try to rush him out if that's the culture in Hong Kong dim sum to kind of just sit down, relax, and take your time?
Who knows? Maybe did they have a long wait?
Oh, that's a good one.
Maybe that's it. They're trying to get more customers in. Usually it's not rushed though, from what I've seen.
Yeah, that's a completely.
Yeah, maybe
different
it's the,
take. I've never heard
maybe
of
it's
that.
the spot like I went to, but
Yeah.
But if it's Michelin rated, then service.
oh no,
is
I
a
went
part
to
of-
I went to one that's Michelin rated, which is Tim Ho Wan, and I went to one that was highly rated on just like Google and Yelp.
Sure.
But then the
Which one
service-
rushed you out? Both of them?
No, the first one. The
Because
one,
if both of them rush you out, then it's probably a problem with you.
no, it's not. It's not the Michelin rated one. The Michelin rated one was the quality of the food wasn't as I didn't think as it was as good as New York quality dim sum, and the one that rushed us out was just pretty much. I think they catered to more of the like tourists. So they're like, okay, you're Asian, so we don't care about you. Like,
Oh wow, so it was like racism, but not really because they're
I don't
Asian
know.
too.
Yeah, I gave them the worst like review ever. You know.
Oh
I
yeah,
was like-
you're an elite Yelper. Don't mess with you guys.
No, I mean, I was elite for 1 year, okay, and then I was kicked out because I stopped. You know, I didn't write enough reviews. So
You got lazy.
I got lazy.
You took your foot off the
yeah.
gas.
I don't
Yeah.
think I don't think they'll let me be a Yelp elite again this year. I haven't wrote any reviews.
Oh,
for-
yeah?
For the.
But
back
why?
half.
You go to so many restaurants.
I've just gotten lazy with it, and
Okay.
you forget about it sometimes.
Well,
But
how long were you a Yelp elite?
It's my third year.
Okay, all
Third
right.
year.
That's
Yeah.
good. That's
Damn,
3 years.
I gotta admit, I never even wrote one Yelp review.
No?
I feel like such a scrub around you guys.
no, it's no big.
Is
deal.
it abnormal?
I mean, you do get invited to
Events.
some events and stuff.
Your
Oh, you
reviews?
do?
Yeah.
Wait, so what happens if you're Yelp elite? Please walk me through this.
You get the perks.
As
get the perks.
a normie.
So they host these events a few times a month. It could be anything.
Yelp.
Yelp.
Yelp does. Okay.
It could be anything. It could be food related. Sometimes they have axe throwing events, things like that. And it's basically free food. You know, you go in. They have some kind of agreement with the restaurant, and you come in, you socialize, you meet the other Yelp elites. Sometimes you can bring a +1, and they bring you free food, and you're expected to, write a review about that place. Mostly, have you been to a Yelp elite event?
One Yelp elite. It's pretty much like a promotional event. They have
Yeah.
like certain cocktails that signature cocktails that they serve. And
Is it like a whiskey event, like one of those McKellen?
yeah,
It can.
Thai-
Yeah.
Okay.
And they do this for, I would say, newer restaurants that are trying to get their name out there.
Okay.
Trying to get a little bit more exposure.
So you go through like a tasting.
Somewhat. That's a little bit different. That's something I do on my food blog sometimes. With the Yelp Elite events, you just have to sign. There's a list of events, and then you have to sign up for which event you want to get into. But sometimes the events get filled up very quickly. You're put on a wait list. They also look at when the last time you were at an event. If you've been to too many events, they might not allow you in. They also look at how active you are. If you're more active, you get into more events as well.
Right. Now, does it matter if you're very active, but you're giving all amazing ratings, or do they want you to give a range of reviews going from 1 star to 5 stars? Or that doesn't matter at all?
I don't think that matters too much, but the quality of your review matters. They look at that, and if you post up pictures as well.
So they read your comments.
They read your comment. If you post up, a sentence compared to someone,
This is good.
exactly.
exclamation!
Here,
That's not gonna fly.
emoji thumbs up. Yeah.
But you post up a good sized paragraph, and you post up pictures that you took.
Okay.
They like to see that.
Yeah, I think writing it counts more because I never posted any photos really, and I just wrote like long ass paragraphs.
So are there tiers? Like, for example,
tiers of
if you do 50 comments, then you're automatically elite. If you do 50 comments for 6 months, then you're on your track, baby.
I don't know the criteria, but then they have the community manager kind of reach out to you and say like,
is that how you know?
Yeah, we
They
like
just
what you
hit
wrote.
you up?
Yeah, they hit us up.
Like a secret society? Like, hey.
Almost. Yeah, yeah.
No, I wouldn't. No, I'm not.
It's
part
like
of a
some
society.
random guy that message you on Yelp and like, who's this guy?
Yeah.
And then he says like, I like what you wrote.
I've gotten that before.
Is that creepy?
It's kinda, yeah.
Like, hey,
Random
I
people.
really love the way you explain that egg roll.
It's exquisite, right?
No one, I have never heard anyone articulate those fried dumplings that way. I would like to know more.
I get messages like that on my food blog. I just
Really?
Instagram. Yeah, I just kind of ignore it. I don't know what to say to that.
Wait, you mean like messages with
fans
with sexual innuendos?
No, not sexual.
Oh,
but
okay.
Just like really odd comments, like this guy followed me, and then on the first day he followed me. He's like, "Hey, let's meet up in Chinatown for like a."
Stop it.
Yeah, I was like,
Okay, all right.
You know, I'm probably gonna just. Like,
I mean, you have to do your due diligence, right? You have to do a background check and see if he's a fellow blogger.
But they don't even know what you look like. Like, are they like? I could understand they're doing it trying to hook up. I shoot your shot. I get it, but they don't know what you look like. You're just doing food.
Yeah, I think I need to post a few more pictures. Of myself.
I mean, like food blog. I mean, like it doesn't take much to find out how you look like. I went on your food blog on IG, and I you know.
Well, I have multiple
pictures.
accounts linked, so
Yeah,
this
yeah.
picture and my
Okay.
other one.
Oh, so they might have digged a little bit and
Yeah,
said,
yeah.
"Oh, he's cute. I like him, and he knows where to eat."
I did my
Hey,
stalking.
what's up? Let's
yeah, but
let's,
this
let's
was the
meet
guy,
up.
so
Hey, that's all good. If you, I don't know which way you swing.
no,
but-
I don't swing that way. But
Okay.
nothing wrong with it, but you know.
Yeah. Wait. So has any females ever
Yeah.
tried to reach out to you?
It's usually people who we've been following each other for a while, and they're
Okay.
also food bloggers. So we do meetups, we do tastings.
Oh, so it's innocent. It's innocent.
Yeah,
right?
yeah, yeah.
It's like,
It's
oh,
nothing-
you know some good spots.
networking.
Bring me
Yeah.
there, and
Right.
okay, yeah.
A lot of there's companies, there's like food companies like Food and City. It
Mhm.
hosts a lot of events. It's a pretty big blog, and you know, they'll invite 20 people in, you know, all food bloggers, and then you'll take pictures, you'll enjoy the food, you know, and it looks. By the way, if you've ever gone to a tasting event, it looks like a rave, because every
Does it
food
really?
blogger has an LED light. It's just going off, and
Why?
for better lighting.
Oh.
For pictures. Restaurants are very dark.
Oh, that's right.
So you'll have like 12 lights
I
light
didn't
up at the
realize
same
that.
time. Not only that, you have all these people on top of each other trying to get the best picture.
Yeah,
No,
yeah,
it looks
yeah, yeah.
ridiculous.
Are they standing on top of their chairs?
Yeah, exactly. I've done that before.
Well, yeah.
No
yeah.
shame.
No, you have to get the best angle. Right?
Yeah,
So,
absolutely.
I get it.
So it's fun. You get to meet a lot of people. I would say it's heavily female dominated as well. Like 90% female.
Did you ever get a date out of this?
No, I haven't.
90. That's a great ratio.
That's a great ratio.
It's
But sometimes they bring their boyfriends.
Amazing
You know,
ratio.
it's whatever.
So let's just say I have a date. I want to impress her. I want to do something different.
Okay.
And let's just say I want to do like instead of a bar crawl, I'll do like a food crawl.
Yeah.
Where would be a good place to do that without having to constantly hop in a car or move around, just somewhere in New York City?
Yes.
And I could just kind of do this little street food tasting.
So I would say the best places would be here, Chinatown. Flushing is a great spot, and Jackson Heights is. I think Jackson Heights in Queens has actually the best food. You know?
Really?
Yeah.
What kind of food?
It's very diverse. You've got Tibetan, you got you know, Indian, Pakistan, big you know, in terms of Spanish food.
Right.
And I
And they
think
all hold it down there? They all do a
they do
ridiculous
very
job?
well, and it's not, you know, it's locals cooking this stuff. People who have come here from a different country just for a few years.
Right. It's not someone that they just hired off of
Yeah, food is good. It's
So it's
affordable, and you can go to many different spots.
Jackson Heights.
Jackson Heights.
Is there like a certain street specifically, or
No, they're kind of spread out,
Okay.
and you know, they have a little
but
bit
walkable?
walkable, very walkable.
Okay. So,
So-
it makes sense that it's spread out because I mean, with the diversity of restaurants, each block has their own kind of. Or am I incorrect about that?
It's mixed.
So
No,
in
no.
one
actually,
block you can have Chinese, Spanish, Tibetan, all of that.
they're all close to each other,
Mm-hmm.
but you might get like a area that's a little more Tibetan, another area that's a little more Thai, but they're very close. It's not a big area. They're very close to each other.
So that would be a nice to do like a date night
Sure.
or in the daytime.
It depends on
because-
who you're dating. So some people don't like that. They want
It's
to.
very authentic food.
Yeah.
Right. It's,
Oh,
you know, it's
so
authentic.
It's
may
gritty.
not-
Like the places you go to are
Yeah.
a little gritty. So they have to be okay with that.
I love that though.
Me too.
Yeah.
yeah,
I live for that.
Yeah.
Yeah. But just back to what we were saying, like, you know, a lot of what we eat has history behind it, right? And for me, I like learning a little bit about it and explaining it to people. You know, like if you look at Filipino food, right, it has Spanish influences, right? They were
Absolutely,
colonized
yeah.
for a little bit, so pork is big there. There's American influence as well, big on spam and like spaghetti and hot dogs. You know,
Yeah.
if you look at Vietnamese food, if you look at pho, for example, that dish was you know, made from using scraps of beef that the French didn't want, right?
Oh, okay.
So you know, when
That makes sense.
yeah. When the French would colonized them, they were big on like premium cuts of meat, and whatever was left over, the locals kind of dumped together.
Right, because
in
they have the
fish.
beef flanks, they have
The tendons.
And even the broth, they would use the bone marrows to brew it, so it has that meaty taste to it, and it has some Asian influences with their noodles probably from China. If you look at the banh mi, for example, the classical one has pate in it. Pate is very big in France, and then the bread itself is a baguette. A baguette. So that's also from France, right? So everything we eat has a little bit of history behind it, and I just find it really
they're all
interesting.
connected somehow.
That's right.
There was some, I guess, unintentional influence.
Yeah.
Isn't Korean food? Isn't there like in their food because of the poor? Like they started making a certain style of food because I guess the rich didn't want it, and then they started creating Korean barbecue or something, or the side dishes, and that also started with the poor. Something like that. I don't know.
Well, don't quote me on it, but then I heard about the stew that the Koreans have. It's like pork bone or something like that, and then they have it. they make it in a metal pot, and the reason why is because when they at war they would use their hats to boil the soup, and they put potatoes and all this scraps of meat and bones and stuff like that, and making it a stew. I'm not sure. When I was in Korea, I had that type of stew.
I'm not really sure. I don't eat too much Korean food. I need to look into that though.
Okay.
But it would make sense.
Are there like Korean street food style? Because everything I see, it's either Korean barbecue or some type of sit down style.
I think there is. I don't think it's big in New York though. I don't see too many like carts or like street food when it comes to Korean.
So a lot of Asian cultures have street food. I have a street food like Taiwan. When I went to Taiwan, it's huge.
Yeah.
The night markets, and then you go to the street food vendors there, or the stinky tofu.
Right.
When I went to Vietnam, same thing. Street food everywhere.
Pho is a street food. I would not think of.
Right.
that
I mean, I literally
would be the
sat
case, but-
on like this plastic stool, and it was so small for me because I guess
You're a tall guy.
I'm a tall guy, especially over there, right?
Right.
So it's not made from my knees, but like on my chest, and I'm eating pho. I look like this. I look
And they have this
ridiculous.
foldable table that's for like kiddies,
Yeah,
like little
yeah.
kids.
Yeah.
I love that though. That's part of the.
But I've never seen something like that for Korean. It's usually a dine-in experience.
Yeah, I've had the same experience.
Yeah.
I think we're also in New York as well, so not everything translates over to New York when you're bringing food from different parts
When
of
you
Asia.
went to Korea, did you see anything?
No, all the street food stuff was in Taiwan and China when I went. Yeah, in Hong Kong. In Hong Kong, they didn't really have. In Thailand, there's street food's huge too.
It's big.
Yeah. No, in Hong Kong, they got rid of all that stuff because of
But if you look at
cleanliness.
New York, like the Thai food and the Taiwanese food, it's not really. There's not too many street vendors. That's what I'm saying. Like it doesn't always translate over to the city very well. So it's probably popular over there, but over here,
You're right.
they'll have it stationed in the restaurant itself.
Yeah, because I think some of that might be too gritty. I think it may not mix with the American palate too well. Some people, I mean, take a dish like chicken feet. I love that chicken feet in dim sum. It's one of my favorite dim sum dishes.
Right.
I brought a couple of friends who never had dim sum before, and as soon as they saw that nail, they were done. They're like, "Will, what are you doing? What are you doing?
It's also the texture.
Can we get
too.
chicken and broccoli, please?"
Yeah.
General Sal's like, "What the hell is this?" I was like, "Dude, it's dim sum." They're like, "No, bro, I'm not. Look at there's a fucking nail in my food. Like, I'm not putting that in my mouth."
Yeah.
Well, you don't have to. You have to swallow the nail.
All right.
But the thing is, like, it's also texture too, because the Western palate, it's like anything that's slimy, it's not made well for the Western palate. Like, but in Eastern, for the Eastern palate, like texture is a huge thing in the cuisine, right? So even if it's like crunchy, slimy, it's part of like the experience of of food.
Right.
I think it's changing. I don't know what you're seeing, because you're
What's
more
changing?
The American palate. I think they're starting to be curious about it. I think partly due to social media or Netflix, right?
Yeah.
And they have all these food documentaries and all these chefs becoming famous.
Sure.
And you look and you follow their journey and what they eat and how amazing it looks, and then when you hear stories behind how they made that sauce, how they made that, whether it's slimy or it looks gooey, and you see that it's famous, people from all over the world going there to eat it. I think that may help them become more open-minded, or have a more open mind next time they go and have an opportunity to eat something. Or they may just go after it. They say, you know what, let me try this. I want to give this a shot. So my same friend that I brought there, eventually, now that dude's into like pho, right? He loves pho. Actually, he makes pho now. Before,
Nice. Yeah, I mean, I'm seeing a little bit of that too. People seem to be a little bit more open to trying new things, and especially if they've seen something that's documented. Netflix has paved the way for a lot of these things. They have all these food shows, food documentaries. Social media has a big impact as well. It's Instagram, all those pictures, all those posts being put up. People learn a little bit more and more about the culture, the ethnicity, and what kind of food is involved.
Now, here's what I find, and yeah, I mean, the sirens are sorry for the noise pollution, folks. I think there's a police car. What the heck's going on? Is there a police car?
That sounds
right
like an ambulance.
ambulance right
Yeah.
downstairs?
Police doesn't sound like that. The popo. No.
Yeah. You know what? I mean, just while we're on the top, ambulance or police sirens, they sound different in different cities.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah. You didn't notice that? Like when
No.
I was down in Florida.
Oh, I'm pretty sure. Yeah.
It sounded different when I'm in New York, and even when we're up in Buffalo.
Yeah.
It doesn't have the same cadence, the same chime.
Yeah.
New York is like bloop bloop.
Yeah.
The police, at least, and then the ambulance, but it's different. It's a different. I don't know. I guess people with the ear,
Yeah.
the musical ear, they can tell what pitch.
Yeah.
What's that called? Like people,
Signature.
They hear everything, and it's like a note. The people that play instruments like guitar or piano,
Tone.
yeah, like they hear everything, and they could kind of go, "Oh, that's E. That's
Yeah.
a
a different note. Yeah.
yeah." I'm not one, but I noticed that it just sounds different.
I am definitely not an audiophile, like what they call.
Back to food. Now that, So, look, since COVID happened, I think, I don't know, all of these restaurants we were just talking about before, it's changing, and they had to adjust with times, but some weren't. A lot of restaurants has closed its doors.
Yes.
Forever.
Yes. That's right.
What do you think it's going to happen? What's going to take over? What's going to be the food scene in New York? Are we going to have a shell of what we had before? Or do you think it's all the bad ones are going to get wiped out? 'Cause at the same note, there were a lot of terrible restaurants in New York
Sure.
I have no idea how they stay in business for years, but maybe because of tourism, a lot of people aren't aware, and they just continue to go to these establishments and support it, even though the food stinks and the ratings. I mean, the Yelp review. I see 2-3 star Yelp restaurants, which is considered not good, right?
Right. But some of those ratings aren't accurate, and it's more for service. And I found some of the best restaurants with like 3-star ratings. So
Really?
Yeah. It's you can't always look at Yelp ratings.
People
and,
complain about a whole bunch of different issues.
That's true.
with restaurants.
That's true.
Not just the food.
and not only that, Yelp reviews can be faked as well. There's a way to do it. There's marketing companies that work with just Yelp elites, and they'll bring them to restaurants, and in exchange for free food, they expect like a 5-star review. So sometimes they'll send in a whole bunch of Yelp elites, and you have like 30 reviews so far for the restaurant, and they're bought pretty much. The restaurant pays the
They're
marketing.
legit, but they're not.
They're not always legit.
Like they're
In the sense
legit. They're
that
real people.
They're real people, but
but they've
not
been
always
bribed.
honest.
They've been paid for the
Exactly.
5-star
Right.
in one form or another. Now, what is the biggest indicator of that?
You look on the page, and it's all Yelp elites. That's a huge indicator, because there's not that many of us.
Yeah, makes
I got
total
caught
sense.
then, okay? Because check this out. I was looking for a really good pizzeria
Okay.
somewhere not in New York.
Okay.
And it is in a major city, though. So then I say, oh my gosh, check this one out. And it popped up. I think it was like top 5, right? Recommendations. So I was like, all right. And I was like, this one has 4.5 stars. Wow. All right. Damn. Usually I see 4 stars for pizza, but 4.5. All right. So I'm starting and I'm seeing Elite Yelp, Elite Yelp, Elite Yelp. So I'm thinking, yo, this is legit. These are elite Yelpers coming here. I didn't think like, hey, these guys are getting. I again, I'm just from the outside looking in. Mm-hmm. So I'm like, this is amazing. So as I continue, I started going, this is strange. How is everybody giving 5 stars? Like, I having a hard time pulling up some 4 stars, some 3 stars, some 2 stars, 1 star. So I was like, this is strange. So I was like, let me get down. So I filtered it for the 4-star, 3-star reviews. And somebody's like, I don't know if these reviews are real.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
They said this. So I was like, you know what, though? Let me give this a shot. I went to the restaurant, and it was actually delicious. I wouldn't give it a 5-star rating. It wasn't like that level, but it was pretty damn good.
Yeah. I mean, I've had the opposite experience. I've gone to like a 4.5-star rated restaurant. It was terrible. And it was probably, a lot of the reviews were probably fake, you know? So I don't know. There's a whole industry behind it right now. And
is there anything Yelp can do to combat that? I'm pretty sure they don't want that.
I don't think so. It's gonna be tough.
Right.
Like what can you do? You know, it's first of all, it's hard for them to figure that out. You know, these people are messaged privately, and they actually eat at the restaurant. It's not like they don't go there. Right. You know.
So they found this loophole,
and they use Yelp Elites because if a regular person writes a review on Yelp, sometimes it gets filtered. It doesn't pass through. But Yelp Elite reviews always pass through right away. So that's why they use Yelp Elites. You know, these marketing companies. Mm-hmm. So that's where, you know, having that status helps a little bit. Your reviews will go through instantly.
Damn, I should have kept my status. Damn it.
Do you guys ever see that South Park episode? I don't know if you watch South Park, but they had this episode with Yelpers.
No, I haven't seen that one.
Oh my gosh. Oh my God. You guys got to check it out. Well, Cartman acts like he goes real extra on it, on his food reviews.
Oh, he flaunts his he tosses his weight around. Like
they have this.
There's people that do that
entitled
in real life, by the way.
Yeah, where they felt very entitled. Like, you better treat me with the most amazing service, or else I'm gonna give you this.
I mean,
they go in saying, "Look, I'm a Yelper."
I've said this, but in a joking way. In a joking way, I've done this in the restaurants, but in a very joking way. But I don't know if, and I laugh about it.
You can't do it.
No, I laugh about it. You know,
wait. So you've gone into restaurants and say, "Hey, I'm a food critic."
Somebody would, a group of my friends, a group of my friends would say like, "Oh, he's a Yelp Elite," and I'm like, "Yeah, I'm all right." And then the staff would actually pay more attention to us. And I'm like, wow, okay, so there is some.
You're gonna get that extra sauce, that extra spit.
I mean, like, you know, saying like, booger. You better give me something good just because. You know?
Yeah, but your friends kind of messed it up for you there. Like, hey, he's a Yelp Elite, so you know what's up. You know, and if I'm the waiter there,
I get so embarrassed. I'm like,
no, because if they're acting extra,
I'm a secret shopper.
I'll tell you what, I've been in the restaurant business, and I've worked in restaurants, and a lot of the times when they were nicer to someone, it's because they were doing something to you.
Oh, interesting.
It's not because they were scared of you.
No,
it wasn't. When I worked at the restaurant, it was never because we were scared of a customer. Mm-hmm, mm-hmm. When I never spit in anyone's food or did anything like that. All right, but
this is from your experience, though. Is it like
they
not all people are gonna be nice because
sure. Oh, is everything all right?
Yeah, I don't know. I experienced that in fine dining
after you bite into that laced food, they go, "Is everything good? Can I get you anything?" And oh yeah, believe me, if you go in there going, you know, puffing your chest,
right. I never do.
Those people, I can't imagine they like that.
I don't even like doing that. You know.
Yeah.
You want to be a secret.
Yeah, I don't. Right. I don't like telling people. I mean, I don't like telling restaurants that I run a food blog. You know. Mm-hmm. I had a very similar experience to you, actually. So, you know, I went to a restaurant yesterday, actually. Good Taste in Elmhurst, Malaysian restaurant. I walk in, didn't say anything. The people were just really not nice. They were nasty. You know, they're like, "Sign your name. Go sit over there." Like, very blunt and just like didn't look at you. Yeah. So we sit down, and again, I don't even say I run a food blog or anything. I take out my camera. I take out the lights. started taking pictures of everything, and then I think they realized like, oh shit, this
Dum, dum,
this guy like does
Oh,
something with food.
Okay.
Yeah.
And they parked right up.
See,
They
that's
parked right
different.
up.
That's different. That's a smart way to do it. Like I wouldn't. Then they were like, "Oh snap, I'll take care of this guy."
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what happened.
Right.
Pretty much.
But if someone came in like, "Hey, I'm Yelp Elite," or "I'm a food critic," just letting you know.
it's snobby.
Yeah, then they're
Yeah.
gonna go, "Oh, okay, I got you."
I don't know.
I'll take care
I
of
don't know
you.
anyone
You know.
who would do that. Except I don't know. It's just weird to me. If you're just you go in there, puff up your chest.
No,
and
but
then,
what I'm
like,
saying, even if your friends blow you up,
yeah,
like,
they
hey,
outed me.
like just imagine
They outed
you work
me.
at a restaurant and then, hey, just letting you know, my man right here, he's a food critic, he's a Yelp Elite. Just letting you know, you better treat us right. You say that, they might add
face
that
it,
little
They
extra.
don't like that. I mean,
Yeah.
a lot of places don't even care that you're a food blogger. Like the ones in Chinatown, they don't care.
Yeah.
You go to like Bolgay or some kind of like hole in the wall. They're like,
But
Does that
think-
make you
isn't-
better?
But isn't that changing because with the whole COVID situation, people essentially stop coming. Like they don't have the same volume of people coming in.
No.
So I've seen signs that say like, please share us on social media, tell all your friends, all these things. So is that changing because of the
it's
whole,
changing a little bit.
Yeah.
I feel like for the newer restaurants, they're a little more savvy. But the old school ones, not all of them have adapted to that. You know,
Yeah.
that hole in the wall that's been there for 40, 50 years. They're on social media. They don't really care who you are. You know,
Right, that's so true. And they don't need to.
Yeah.
They don't need
Word of
to
mouth.
because their customer base, that kept them alive for all these years, are going to continue to come back.
Sure.
They don't care about your damn reviews or
Nope.
what you have to say about it.
Nope.
And that's, we know so many places like that. We eat
Yeah.
at those places.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't. The service usually is very rude, and they don't really, they don't care about you at all. They just serve you food, and that's it.
Well, let me tell you, if a place is rude to me, I'm not going back.
Yeah.
I mean, that to me, that's unacceptable. Like
Right.
I'm a guest.
Sure.
And
You're a customer as well, a paying customer.
Right, and I'm supporting your business.
Mhm.
I'm paying full price for this, and the least you could do is just be nice.
Right.
That's
Yeah,
what it
I mean, I
is.
agree.
Yeah.
You go to some places in Chinatown, like Noodle Town. Have you been there before?
Yes, several times. I've been there.
They chase you for like tips, and they don't give good service.
Well, it
either.
depends. So, I used to go there. Mostly, it was the after party spot
Yes,
for us.
yes.
We
That is
never-
69.
Yeah, that in 69. We
Mhm.
never ate there during the daylight hours when all the other restaurants were open.
Yes.
We eat there at like 3, 4 a.m. after the club
Right.
or after. So we would go to these.
And I have to explain that to people. They think Noodle Town is like the greatest
No.
restaurant. I'm
Why-
like, their food is okay.
Why is that?
bizarre.
Their ratings are high too.
They're
So I
on.
swear.
I think they're on some food guides. That's why. Anytime you
Oh.
were put, like Joe's
Yeah.
Shanghai, that's not the best like soup dumpling spot.
It's
It's like
been
a tourist.
Yeah, it's been so popularized, and I'm going. You guys don't know, man. Like,
Nope.
there's other spots like we Asians go.
Yep.
We're shaking our heads like we only go there because that's the only spot open.
Right.
Like, that's anyway. But I guess you connected that because Noodle Town can be very rude, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
And they chase you if you don't tip them enough. Not even if you don't tip. If you don't
Right.
tip them enough, they'll chase you.
Right.
I've never seen waiters that aggressive before.
Yeah. And not only that, they started shaming one of my friends because he couldn't speak Chinese. It was the most hilarious
Well,
thing because
he can speak
first
Chinese
of all,
well.
he couldn't speak Chinese. You were there with us that
Yeah,
night?
I was there.
Uh,
I was like,
Wait,
and
was he shitting you or was he shitting?
No, he was shitting the guy.
the
My
guy?
our friend. Yeah, yeah.
Yo, so you were there?
I was there.
Yeah, it was hilarious because I guess we were drunk, were we? I don't know. We're coming from a party, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So yeah, I guess we might have been buzzed or whatever.
Okay.
In normal situations, we were just like, hey, we'd be pretty uptight about it. Well, he wanted that green sauce, that ginger green
ginger,
sauce. Yeah.
Grung.
Yeah.
Oh, the one you put in chicken, right?
Yeah, yeah.
He said it in a really Americanized way. And he was like, just for that, you can only get one.
I know that we didn't tip. We just walked
messed
out.
up.
Yeah. He said,
Walked out.
he said, just for that, you can only get one. And then he asked for another one. He's like, no. He was like, I thought he was joking.
Yeah.
I thought he was joking too, and
Yeah.
then he was super serious.
He was dead serious.
Dead
like,
serious.
you are not really Chinese. You are betrayal.
Yeah.
How can they do that though? There's so many ABCs now. There's so
I know.
many like Chinese people who aren't. They don't speak Chinese. They're
No.
Americanized.
And if you think it's bad in New York, a lot of New York, we're just most of the Asians here our age are first generations, meaning our parents are immigrants.
Right.
Most of our parents are immigrants coming up. So, but that guy has to try to go out to the West Coast. You got 4, 5, 6 generations.
Yeah,
that's right.
Of Asian Americans, So, I mean, I don't think it makes you any less Chinese if you can't speak Chinese.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't think so. I don't think that should.
But it's not like he couldn't speak Chinese. He just said it. I could understand him.
Yeah, but he said it in an American way.
I could understand him. But then to be that
American
rude,
accent.
I mean, to be that rude.
Oh yeah, there's no excuse for that. There's no excuse for that. That's like, again, it's like, how do you? It's kind of racist.
There's a lot of other places better than.
But it's like your own
that's the
people,
point.
so it's like not racist. Like, is it racist? Is it racist if you're being racist towards your own people? Like,
no, you just.
I don't know if there's a term for that.
Just being exactly.
Dick, yeah. There you go.
So I don't know. I just I thought it was strange that people think certain restaurants are amazing.
Yeah. Yeah,
that's because they're marketed in that way, like in
but they
publications.
They have tongues. They can taste food when they go there. They like, is this one of those things where the mind, like, where everyone tells you, like, if you're eating shit and they're going, this is amazing delicacy, and you're eating shit and you're going,
I think so.
Yeah, let me join along. Is it like that herd mentality?
It can be. I mean, a lot of these places, they're not bad. They're just not the best. And someone who's relatively new to the food scene in terms of like Chinese food, they don't know what's good or what's not. They don't always have something to compare it to. So they say it's decent, and they'll say, oh, it was a great experience.
You know what I think? I think a lot of them, it has to check the palate. It needs to have salt.
Mm-hmm.
It needs to be sweet, that sugary sauciness, right? And then it needs to have some type of like texture that's not slimy. And I mean, that's pretty much the American palate, right?
Mm-hmm, that's right.
So it checks those 3 boxes. They're more than likely going to be very satisfied with it. Mm-hmm. More than likely. If they're not familiar with our food and what it's supposed to taste like.
Right. That's why there's real Chinese food, and then there's Americanized Chinese food.
Right. Right. Just like certain pasta dishes.
Right.
Right. You when you first get introduced to pasta, you're like, wow, this is pretty damn good. The sauce, the noodles, all this, very good. Then you start going to other places. Then you have something that's al dente. You're like, okay, now I can't have noodles unless it's al dente anymore. I can't have soggy noodles or overcooked noodles anymore. I can't touch that.
Right.
And then you go another level where Italian mother cooks it for you. And you're going, now I can't even... Damn, I can't even go to any other restaurant anymore because the way you make it, it's so like, what the heck?
There's no point anymore. I'm just coming over.
It's like, so you can't even have it. So
once you try the real thing, then
it's like when you mentioned you went to Japan. When you had ramen sushi here, and then when you went to Japan, it blew your mind.
Destroyed it for me. I love ramen. I love Japanese food, right? I love ramen. I love sushi. Omakase, I'm always down for that.
Yeah.
And we went to Japan, me and my buddy, and we just started going crazy over there. And I could not believe how amazing it was. Like, I did not get sick of the food. I thought I would get sick of it after a week. Did not. I just kept on ripping through as much Japanese food as I can because it was just amazing, right? From the barbecue, Japanese barbecue to, I mean, they just have so many different types of food within their street food too is amazing in Osaka. I came back here. My friends went to a Japanese restaurant. I just couldn't even look at it. It looked like child's play. Like I just couldn't. Sure. Yeah, it's like it looked like fast food Japanese food. It just didn't feel right eating it, and I couldn't eat Japanese food for a full year after coming back from Japan. I could not eat Japanese food for a full year. Not because I was some snob. It's just because it just messed it up for me so much that every time I tasted it, I just didn't enjoy it. It didn't make food's supposed to make you happy.
Right.
And it just didn't make me happy. I just didn't feel it. You know, I had to eat everything else but that.
It became a chore.
Not a chore.
You're not the first person to tell me that. I've heard that a few times before. Visited Japan and came here, and they couldn't look at sushi or ramen the same way anymore. They couldn't even try. The quality was just on a completely different level, and it changed everything completely for them. I've heard Japan has really good pizza though.
Pizza?
Like, it's out of the blue, but I've heard they have like one of the best pizza in, in the world, aside from like Italy. And I found it really surprising.
That is
when I heard
surprising.
that.
So that's another. I guess
Did you try that?
For my third trip? I will.
Okay.
Dude, I'm always looking for an excuse to go to Japan.
Where's there a certain spot you recommend? Like, because
I've never been there.
Yeah.
It's just what I keep hearing.
Oh.
And I think Netflix did an episode on it as well.
Yeah.
One of those food,
Okay.
shows.
I gotta check this out. Man.
Yeah. they have
Japanese
very good-
pizza, is it traditional? Do they have like the red sauce and
I think it's a little bit
mozzarella,
different.
or-
I think it's a little different. I'm not quite sure how, but it's they put their own spin on it, and it comes out great. And they even use like a brick oven, I believe, or a wood fire
I love
oven.
brick oven.
I
I had something like that when I went to Greece.
okay,
And it was amazing.
such a big difference, right?
Amazing, yeah. And the way they did it, they made it so thin
Mm-hmm.
but crispy, and it didn't fall apart.
Yes.
They found the right ratio of cheese, sauce, toppings, where you can hold and dough, where it's not doughy,
Mhm.
and you can hold it and it just holds in place. But then when you eat it, the flavors, you can taste the sea. It's just everything together. It just made me go, oh my. Maybe I could taste the sea because I was sitting on top of the way Greece is, like the hills,
Mhm.
and you can see the water. It's just gorgeous in Greece. I love Greece.
Do you know what the difference is from a brick oven and a gas oven, like a traditional gas oven in pizzerias?
Well, the flavor palette, right? If
The
they
flavor,
they have the brick oven. It's gonna expose it to that. I guess that type of essence.
Sure.
right?
is it very similar to like barbecue? Like you have the charcoal versus the gas grill.
I can't. I mean, what I was gonna say is a brick oven heats up much faster, so you cook your pizza much faster. Your toppings get crispier, and you get just a better texture, in my opinion.
Right.
But it's such a pain to clean and to maintain compared to.
But
the
it
gas
tastes
oven.
better
It
than
tastes better.
something that's
Yeah.
in the oven, and that makes sense.
Mhm.
By cooking something in high heat,
Right.
it does change the food.
It doesn't dry out, and it's. There's not too many brick oven pizzerias in New York City anymore, but back in the day, I think there were a few more.
I mean, there's still a couple out in Williamsburg.
Like
and-
Lombardi's, Grimaldi's,
Yeah,
those
The old ones,
yeah, the older ones.
But
yeah.
the newer pizzerias, they just.
Well,
it's
why
mostly
is
gas.
that?
Well, the brick ovens are very, very difficult to construct and to clean. Like, I think back in the day, you would need a person to squeeze in there just to clean like the inner portion of it. It's like not too many people want to do that. It takes a lot of work.
Yeah,
I believe
and
a
now-
gas oven.
And now it's like about volume, right? You're trying to
Yes.
push out as many pizzas as
right.
possible.
It's not about the quality anymore.
You said you're into mixed martial arts too, right?
Yeah,
You've
yeah, a little bit.
Do you train?
I dab in Muay Thai, a little bit of boxing, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and I've been training on and off with a ton of breaks, I'd say, for the past 8 or 9 years.
Oh, okay.
Like a lot of people who have started training, back in the late 90s, I used to be a fan of Pride and UFC, and it was just really interesting to me. And then when I got a little bit older, I decided, I wanted to get involved. I actually, when I first started, it was with a friend, and we would just like watch YouTube videos of how to apply a choke, like try it on each other.
Yeah. Did you guys actually sleep each other, or?
We almost did a few times.
Oh my gosh!
It was more of we were just doing it incorrectly, and that's not the way to go.
Right.
You got to join a real gym when you're starting off.
When you guys roll, I mean, do you guys go all out, or is it more like maybe you're getting 50% of your energy, and you guys are just trying to figure it out like a chess game? Because a lot of it is like
It's like technique.
it's technique,
Yeah.
it's chess games, it's really just trying to figure it out. Or did you guys train going all out? Because when I used to dabble in it, and initially when I was a kid, we'd go all out, and the master was like, "What are you doing?" And I was like, "I'm trying to win." And he was like, no, I want you to learn.
Right.
I want you guys to learn, and then because I want you guys to train again tomorrow and the day after that and
Right.
the day after that.
got
I
a
don't
good
want
point.
you guys to go all out, because then you won't be able to train for another 2 weeks. You're going to be hurt.
Right.
And I don't want you getting injured.
So it depends. When you're a beginner, you don't know anything, so you have to muscle yourself out of a lot of positions and to apply submissions, you do have to use a lot of strength. So I would say beginners tend to use the most brute force. When you go a little bit higher up in the belts, they tend to stay a little bit more relaxed. They understand it's not like there's no egos. It's not a life or death situation. Right. So they relax. They don't really care if they get submitted. They transition from position to position very slowly and well, usually, because they know there's a lot of injuries involved, and you don't want to join a class and end up with some sort of injuries the next day.
Right, you take one step forward and you take 3 steps
exactly.
back. I mean, you get injured, it could sit you out for quite a while.
Right. I usually let the other person set the pace, and then I try to, match that. So that's what I do. But with beginners, they tend to all go very aggressive, and
just don't roll with beginners.
Very spazzy. So I tend to roll with higher belts, someone who has more experience, and I've got about. Just from training, I think I have like 8 different injuries just from over the years.
Oh, wow.
I have a left labral tear, a torn muscle in my forearm. Both of my knees, I have a partial patella tendon tear.
Yeah, those are the worst, yeah.
I have torn ligaments in both my wrists. I've got like lower back and neck issues.
Jeez.
Wait, this is all from BJJ, or is it
it's probably a little bit of everything.
Combination, okay.
But it just kind of goes to show you, if you've been doing it for a while,
right?
You're gonna get injured, but that's a lot of sports. Look at football. Football has a ton
football
of,
is ridiculous.
Right?
High impact.
Exactly.
Well, yeah. I mean, I have arthritis in 3 places, thanks to basketball and snowboarding.
Yeah.
Oof,
that's crazy.
Yeah.
So there's risks involved in everything.
Yeah,
but
and I'm young. I caught it like at a young age.
Yeah.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. There's risks involved, but geez, I didn't know. I mean, those were actual games. I didn't get injured during practice. In practice, we're pretty chill for the most, unless somebody's being a jerk, and and it's being very competitive, and we're going, all right, you know what, and we're pushing each other and we're challenging each other and we're talking a lot of smack during practice. That happens. Then ego and pride gets in the way, and then now you got to man up, and then play the whole man card. Sure. But I would imagine it's probably the same thing with fight game.
Well, I don't fight, so I don't compete. I just I'm a little more casual. I just train every now and then.
I'm talking about practicing. Right.
In my opinion, I think practice classes, that's where you get most of your injuries.
Do you ever see it escalating into something real?
What do you mean? Like
if you're practicing with someone and someone's just going a little bit too extra?
Oh, yeah. Sparring? It happens pretty often. I mean, it depends on the gym and environment.
I think that's the worst, right? When you're sparring and then you both agree pre-sparring, like, hey, this is friendly. Like, we're not headhunting here. We're not trying to kill each other. And then next thing you know, that one shot, but you block it and you're going, dude, if that would have hit, that would have got me really dizzy. Like, you would have concussed me maybe. And now in my head, I go, all right, maybe let's see. And then another one comes through.
Right.
Now I'm getting hot.
Yeah.
Now I'm not gonna say anything. I'm gonna do something to you. Like, I'm just gonna tag you real quick. I'm gonna set you up. And then when I see that opening, I'm just gonna tag you and let you know, like, hey, what's up? I'm just gonna smile when you do that, and you're gonna know what's up. Like, yeah.
That happens pretty often.
Right?
I mean, you described it perfectly. You go at a certain pace, it's usually very slow, and then all of a sudden you get hit with a big shot.
Yeah.
You're like, oh, this fucking guy. You have to get him back now.
This guy right here. What are you doing?
And then it just escalates higher and higher. So I mean, those gyms have a really interesting culture. You get people from all walks of life. I feel like pretty diverse, and for the most part, it's very laid back. If you come in with the ego into a gym like that, you're someone's gonna check you very quickly. For sure. Because you're getting hit, you're getting beat up sometimes. So everyone's very humble, very nice, and I personally I love it. I walk in and everyone's doing something different. Yeah. You got one person shadow boxing and another person's like doing homework on the side, and then you got a third person like eating like a rotisserie chicken.
Yeah. Like, you know what? I mean, you hit the nail right there. Like, everybody that I've seen that knows how to fight, they're not walking around with their chest out like
Nope.
looking for a fight. They know what they can do. They're
Mhm.
very confident in their abilities. They're actually one of the nicest people.
Yes.
They know what to do. They know how to control your body. If they could really, they could kill you.
Yep.
With their bare hands, they can absolutely annihilate you and kill you.
Yep.
But they're so nice to you. They're not confrontational. You would never know. And they could have like a regular body.
Mhm.
You know, they wouldn't have these bulging biceps. It's actually quite the opposite. They're
Yep.
very lean,
That's right.
very lean, and they're super nice. And then you get the guys with the egos. Most of the time, 9 out of 10 times, those people cannot fight.
Mm-mm.
They get like, I don't know, the courage or the strength for, I don't know, 30 seconds.
Yep.
40 seconds. If they're sort of trained, maybe a little bit more than that.
Mhm.
If they got a lot of heart, maybe a little more than that. But it will fade because their muscles are tight. They're tiring themselves out faster, and they're not trained. Their lungs and then their heart eventually, their body's just not gonna listen to them what the mind wants to do. They have zero technique. They're gonna get defeated.
Conditioning is everything.
Right.
You have very big guys. You know, you look at them; they're very muscular, like bodybuilders. But you need a lot of like blood and oxygen to feed that. So they, you know, maybe they'll go at it for a minute and then they'll get tired. And once they get tired, it's, you know, they're one of the most helpless people out there in terms of sparring.
Yeah.
Like they're like a
defense
child.
does not exist. Yeah.
you
Their
know?
defense will break down.
Yep.
Like they'll start covering up. They're done.
Yeah.
They're done. I've seen big guys. I've seen bouncers who are very intimidating physically. Right. And when they started sparring, initially you're like, yo, my man's going to get wrecked.
Mm-hmm.
And once they continue to press and stay on top of the bounce and continue to press them, like maybe a minute goes by, you can see the form changing.
Mm-hmm.
You can see his body turn into like, you know, it was slightly bent and then it went to a complete C.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was huffing and puffing and he was just kind of like just dragging. Then his arms fell.
Yep.
And that was the biggest tell. 'Cause he started fighting with his arms down. He was just swinging every time the guy came close.
That's the biggest tell.
And walking backwards.
You know, your heart can only pump out so much blood. If you're a
Yeah.
big guy, like they tend to gas out very quickly
Yeah.
as well.
And that's the thing.
Just going back to what you said earlier with the looks, it can be very deceiving. People that come to the gym, they look like normal people, and actually, the preppy looking short guy, you know, like riding his scooter to work.
With a bad haircut.
That's the guy that kills everyone on the mat. He kills
Really?
everyone.
The
Yes.
skinnier
Bro,
guy. The skinnier
the guy that looks like he doesn't give a fuck about
Yeah.
himself. Like, I don't want to fight you, dog. Like, I know you've been
It's
trained. Like,
super dangerous.
Yeah.
So it's very
So
deceptive.
technique trumps size anytime.
Not
I
anytime.
wouldn't- yeah.
Well, most of the time.
If you're both trained, no.
Oh,
yeah.
But,
yeah, of course.
but if you're talking about someone who's, it does make a difference the size, but if you're trained, you have a huge advantage over them.
Right.
You know.
It's just like if we'll put it to something like basketball, right? If someone that's 5'5", that's trained, has been playing basketball for the last 10, 20 years, that went through the leagues, played varsity in high school. Let's just say varsity level, not even NCAA, right? He's playing varsity level high school basketball competitively, versus somebody that's 6'8", 7 feet, that just plays basketball casually. I'm putting my money on the guy that's 5'5". I'm
Right,
putting
yeah.
money every single time. Every single
The
time.
experience factor.
Yeah,
makes a big
he's
difference.
he's more than likely gonna win.
Yeah, and they
Easily.
probably had the 5'5" guy probably has experience
Right.
playing against a
Right.
6'8".
Like
Yeah.
I'm 6'3".
Yeah.
A guy that's been training in MMA and is like 5'6", 5'7". Come at me. It's gonna be a problem. It's gonna be a problem.
Like Khabib, like if he comes out, he's shorter than you, right? And
Khabib's a whole. You can't even
It's a
compare me to
different
Khabib.
caliber.
Are you crazy, bro? Like Khabib is like a whole nother monster, bro.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a whole nother level. I'm just talking about casual people, like regular. Like, of course, a pro fighter, a pro female fighter, you wouldn't even stand a
Yeah.
chance.
Yeah.
Pro female fighter, it just
right.
doesn't. She'll knock you the fuck out.
I've been, in terms of grappling, I've been like tossed and thrown around by like this like short Asian girl who's been doing judo for like since she was like 5 or something, and like I have 80 pounds on her, and she's like tossing. And this is someone who's who has some training as well.
Yeah.
It's like throwing me around the room everywhere.
Wow.
You know.
Yeah.
So even if you're comparing like people who are experts in one area or fighters, compare them to someone who trains casually, there's a huge gap.
Yeah.
Huge. So if you compare that to a fighter who versus like a person who hasn't trained at all, it's a complete joke. You know. There's just different levels to it.